I'm really sorry, guys. I'm not only disappointed in myself, I feel like I've disappointed you guys as I've not uploaded in like 4 months. I don't know how long it's been that long, but I'm here now at least, so let's just get it done. So as we all know, after a year of no releases from Marvel, they've released WandaVision 2 weeks ago, with episode 1 and episode 2 releasing on the 15th, episode 3 on the 22nd, and the 4th and most recent episode on the 29th, which is the day I'm filming this. And the episode today was just too insane for me not to put my predictions on the table. So just in case I'm right, which I'm going to be. So spoilers, just in case you guys want to watch it later. All my predictions are just too good and they're too accurate, which they will be, 100% guarantee. The episode opens with Monica Rambeau redusting at the hospital. Everyone's like blipping in, like the Spider-Man Far From Home opening. But instead of it being like funny, it's like, it's not. Monica's scrambling around the place and she finds out that Maria Rambeau, her mother, passed away from cancer 3 years ago, which was 2 years after she got blipped away. And then the intro rolls. We're now at S.w.o.r.d, the Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division, where we find the new director, Tyler Hayward. I don't know about this guy, he's not been in any comics or anything, but he just seems a bit shady. Monica gets partnered with Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp for a missing persons case in Westview, New Jersey, where the rest of WandaVision is taking place. They discover something's up with this weird fuzzy border that doesn't actually exist because the whole town doesn't exist, and everyone in it doesn't exist either.
I have contacted known associates, relatives.
And let me guess, none of them have seen him either.
No, none of them have ever heard of him.
Monica's drone disappears to the border, and this is the helicopter that we see in the second episode of the series. So she goes to investigate and then she gets sucked in. A day later, S.w.o.r.d brings in Dr. Darcy Lewis from Thor 1 and 2. There's some fun, there's some banter going on.
No one cares.
And Lewis sets off a kit and starts to tune in to the TV show. Meanwhile, Agent Franklin takes to the sewers to try to get Monica to see what's up, where she's at. Darcy tunes in and we see the first episode of WandaVision.
Move at the speed of sound and I can make a pen float through the air. Who needs to abbreviate?
They begin to track down the characters and their real identities whilst watching the show, and they find ID for everyone besides Agnes and Dottie. Jimmy and Darcy plan to contact Wanda through the radio, and this is what happens in the second episode. When we saw the glass break, the video playback just skips to when reality came back together. Whilst Agent Frank is going through the tunnel, his hazmat suit turns into a beekeeper, and the end of his tether turns into a skipping rope, probably to maintain continuity within the pocket reality. And we see this Don jump out of the manhole and look around, and then he turns his head on a vision calls for Wanda, but when Wanda says no this time, it doesn't rewind in real time. The agent just stands there and it cuts away. Jim and Darcy get some banter going off, and they ask the same questions like we do, like what's up with the change of time errors. And then right when Wanda's interrogating Monica at the end of episode 3, the playback skips again to the end with a jazzy theme song, and an alarm goes off and we transition back to the sitcom reality with Monica and Wanda. Monica gets blasted back into her reality after she's called a trespasser, which I think will need to be addressed later on. She fixes the hole in the wall, Vision rushes out like he did in the episode 3, but he's not his own self. He's a little more monochromatic like he was at the end of Infinity War. And then cut back to Monica on the floor, she's like, it's Wanda, it's all Wanda. Cut back to sitcom reality, Vision gives Wanda an uneasy look and the funky end music plays. I'm glad to see Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis again. They're two good returning characters and overall pretty fun interactions between them. I mean, I don't know, I can tell you, Ant-Man and the Wasp is 100% filler. It adds nothing to the story that could have been done in like a post-credit scene, but it hits a sweet spot. It hits a sweet spot for me. And also, I don't know what to think about Monica Rambeau yet, but from what I've seen from her interactions with Tyler Hayward, I think that I'm gonna like her. At the beginning, when Monica and Jimmy first meet, when Jimmy introduces himself, he flicks out the card, which is a callback to Ant-Man the Wasp when Scott flicks out the card. Personally, I thought Vision's gonna die again. Hate to say it, but once he tries to leave that bubble, and he'll die again. The hole in his head will be there and he'll just collapse to the ground, like has been shown in a recent trailer that released earlier today. And this will definitely cause Wanda to spiral even more. She's already, even if she has been controlled, or if she isn't, she's already spiraling. Like, they did not have to do Quicksilver like that. They didn't, but they did for a reason. On the board with all the identities of the missing peoples, it has ID for everyone besides Wanda, Vision, Agnes and Dottie. This might be because it's only episode 1, but Agnes was in that episode, so she should have ID with her. We know Wanda and Vision, but we don't know who Agnes is. Some theories might say she's Agatha Harkness from the comics, who was a witch with ties to Mephisto. Mephisto being the devil in this kind of universe. She was then murdered by Wanda in the comics out of cold blood, so I feel like at one point Agnes might have been controlling Wanda, but she's become too powerful at this point because there's genuine fear in her face. And as Kev said,
Endgame, in your opinion, who would be the strongest Marvel hero?
As of Endgame?
Yeah. Or as of Far From Home, I mean, it's the latest one. Up to you. I don't think that changed much.
Well, I think it's interesting if you look at Endgame, Wanda Maximoff was going to kill Thanos.
Yeah.
If he hadn't desperately, that's as scared as I've ever seen Thanos. And if he hadn't said, decimate my entire team to get her off of me, I think she would have done it.
Told you guys.
And
I've been saying that. Okay.
Wanda said a lot of really odd phrases in this episode that made me to believe that maybe no one is controlling Wanda anymore. When Wanda's interrogating Monica, she said, "You're trespassing," which makes me to believe that Wanda is a landlord and everyone else is just a tenant. She also says when talking to Vision, "Don't worry, darling, I have everything under control." And there's not much to break down here. It's pretty ironclad, pretty clear stuff. As much as it pains me to say, I feel like Jimmy Woo might bite the dust by episode 9. It's the way that he's the connecting factor between Monica and Darcy is what makes me believe that. Darcy and Monica start like speaking more, but then when they get a chance to in episode 4, then I feel like the chances of Jimmy Woo getting like are very high, which is tragic. Jimmy Woo dies, I will literally never see a Marvel film ever again. It's also pretty nice to find out that we have a list of questions that will be answered. These being why hexagons, why sitcoms, is this happening in real time, and is Vision alive? Overall, this episode is really good. I think on the first 2 episodes being in this reality, it's fun to have mysteries because everyone's like, it makes no sense, but it does. It gives you sort of enough context, but you kind of have to like rewatch it a couple times, like at least 2 or 3 times, to actually like see everything that's happening. And it's good to have this like get what's happening in the real world as well as what's happening in this little dimension, as it is the first Marvel release since Endgame. The structure for the rest of the series, I presume it'd be episode 1, 2, 3 being the first act, i.e. the setup, 4, 5, 6 being the second act when we find out who the main villain is and a lot of our questions get answered, and 7 and 9 being the build-up, climax and conclusion. We've had the 50s, 60s, 70s, and I presume the next episode will be the 80s, which I think might be 2 episodes since the Halloween episode, which has like a lot of footage shown in the trailers. And then I think what's after that might be the 2000s with Modern Family and The Office mockumentary kind of style, but I'm not sure about that. Actually, I think there's 90s with Full House, I think it's actually called. But yeah, I think that's the 90s. And in the next episode, I think it'll be more of a typical kind of TV show with an A plot and a B plot. The A plot being Wanda and Vision in the pocket reality, and then the B plot being Jimmy, Darcy, Monica, and Tyler in the real world. So until then, I will see you later.